cookies, so you guys help yourself. I'm Sami, Milo. Nice to see some of you guys I haven't met before. Thanks for coming over. I'm like really kind of winging this, so bear with me. So, but it was my idea to do it because I have put in a lot of mental preparation. But when I think about this topic, I have like so much to say on it. I have so many opinions. I've done so many different things that have worked and not worked. So my brain, it's like a lot of information for me to try to cohesively get out to you guys. So I'm going to do my best. I want to talk a little bit just about my experience. So I started riding when I was age 5 down in Southern California. Had a trainer down there. I moved up to this area when I was 10 and I rode with Patty Ball here. And during that time, the pressure, I had pressure on myself, pressure from my parents, pressure from, just the world to be good. I had a little bit of a safety net. My parents didn't have a ton of money to invest in my riding. So my really good horse that I competed on was $4,000, which was like unheard of. Like horses were being sold for $100,000 when I was competing. So the fact that we bought a horse for $4,000 and I won some medal finals on it and I did Grand Prix on it was like pretty crazy because he was crazy. So I always felt like I was an underdog, which is kind of a benefit. Like if everyone doesn't think you're gonna win, you kind of can fly under the radar. So I kind of liked that. I kind of liked people weren't watching me, and then I would slip in there and go do something great and and I liked that. The pressure from my parents, not so much my dad. My mom was a really good mom, very active in my riding. We kept our horse at home, we did our own grooming, she braided my horse. We brought our horse back and forth from Patty's a lot of the time. So she was very involved in it. So when I would take my lessons and, Patty would say, do X, Y, and Z, my mom would reiterate, Sami, you gotta do X, Y, and Z. I did not like that. I didn't like my mom telling me anything about how I was riding. When I heard my mom telling me how to do things in my lesson, I heard, you're not good enough, you should be better, you're not trying hard enough, you don't care enough, and I cared deeply about it, but I didn't show it very much. And I think, as a little note to some of the parents, maybe if your kid is seeming like they don't care, or maybe they're not super invested, it could be, for me it was almost a protection mechanism, a survival mechanism. Maybe if my expectations aren't too high, I won't fail. So maybe if I'm a little easier on myself, that's how I'm surviving and not feeling totally depleted after I failed, is by saying, it's okay, I'm gonna try it again. And maybe my parents saw that, I was like, well, I don't even care that she just messed up. Well, I do, but to survive and to make it okay so that I can keep, will you pick that up and just don't move. Will you put them under something? It was for me to, be able to keep coming up, because if you're too hard on yourself, why would we keep coming back here, right? Why would we keep, if every time we come, we're awful and we're terrible. So just as a note, sometimes if it looks like your kid is maybe not trying hard enough or caring hard enough, it may be them just convincing themselves that they're okay and they're going to go try again. So that was my junior years. Like I said, I had a really hard horse, so nobody was looking at me to win. I was always under the radar. As a young professional, I was very fortunate. My dad bought me a Grand Prix horse, and wonderful, brave, bold horse that jumped anything, kind of a four-faulter. So again, my goal was to get in there and jump the jumps, and I did that. And I had nerves, but I trusted that horse immensely, and I wasn't really in the running to be a winner. I was just getting in there. So like the pressure was different. We bought another horse, and that horse kind of had a stop in it, so that didn't work out. So I bought what I thought was a 5-year-old Grand Prix horse. Okay, this horse is gonna hopefully go jump. Where you guys want to sit down is great. Hi. Any chairs are fine. I bought a young Grand Prix horse that I bought, and I started riding her. And I had a couple hunter friends come up to me and say, "Oh my God, that horse is a hunter. It should be a hunter." And up until this point, I had really never done hunters. I did 3-foot hunters when I was a child. I didn't have any. I maybe did a couple hunter derbies on some clients' horses, but. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do some hunters at this show. Well, she won every single one of them. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll do the hunter derby. And she won that too. So I was like, well, now I got to choose which way am I going to go. So I chose to take this horse into the hunters. So in the beginning, beginner's luck is like the most beautiful phase of any phase, right? Anytime you do something without much thought or preparation or anything, you care, right? I didn't care if I won or lost. I'm just going to get in there. That was like bliss. So that was amazing. Well, you start putting a couple wins under your belt and people start noticing. So we'll leave it at that. But when that's for me, when the pressure and my dialing in of dealing with the pressure got real, okay? Because I couldn't blame anybody else. My horse was good enough to win, right? Good enough to win every single round. Everyone's watching. I'm a trainer. I should be winning. So it was like pressure, pressure, pressure. Will you guys, will you give Patty some papers so she can see what we're doing? Brooke or Bree? Oh, there's papers on the table, you guys. Or Daniela, do you have the papers?
No, I just need the table.
Yeah, Patty can have papers. Okay, so where does pressure come from? I think a lot of us, the pressure's coming from us a lot of the time, at least with me. I am harder on myself than anybody could possibly be. I don't really need anybody else to tell me I'm not doing a good job because I know. I do not live in a world where Sami is great and wonderful. Okay, I am a redhead. I grew up as a redhead. The tapes in my head from my childhood are, you are different, you are not good enough, a lot of you are not good enough, you'll never be good enough. I was picked on a lot in school. I can go to a place of I am not good enough very, very easily. So when people are really hard on me, like I don't really need it because I'm already there. So pressure for me is almost 100% coming from me because I want myself to be fantastic and brilliant and I want to go deliver. And there's probably a little bit in me that wants to prove everybody wrong, right? I have a little bit of I'm going to show you. I hope I show them, because I am kind of living that little girl life who did get picked on and who wasn't good enough and who felt like the underdog. So for me, pressure comes from me. Can it come from your parents? Yes, it can. And whether your parents are hard on you or not, they want you to do good. They want you to do good because when you do well, everybody has a good day. The trainer has a good day. The mom, dad has a good day, so I'm a mom too. So when my kids compete, I'm like, oh, please let them ride well, please let them ride well, because we all get to get in the car and have a great dinner and go home and be happy. And if they don't ride well, it's like, it's so heavy, it's so dark, it's so, husbands know, it's like, so as much as they want you to, it's more they want you to do well because they love you and they want you to feel good about yourself, right? And then everybody gets to feel good. Outside sources, this is like comparing yourself to other people, right? Comparing yourself to what other people say. Pressure, this is kind of a little bit more recent. This happened just a couple weeks ago, which also made me do this impromptu workshop. I was at the Autumn Classic horse showing. I got to do the derby on 4 really nice derby horses. 3 of them are green. So again, pressure, but not too much pressure because I have this safety net of like, oh, my horse is just green, you know. So I did the first 3 horses, and I'm feeling like really good. I'm feeling like I am on fire tonight. I am riding so well. I'm doing such a good job, feeling really confident. I get in the warm-up on my last horse, and my scores were like 80 something. I wasn't really like, I'm going to win this derby. I thought I'm going to get a piece of it. Jan just pulls a 92, I hear Alice, the steward, go, oh, Jan got a 92. And I don't know why, but hearing that immediately deflated me. Immediately, I just, without even realizing it, my whole Sami is crushing it went away. And I jumped the next jump, and I was kind of quiet. It was fine. It was cautious. It wasn't bad. And I'm like, oh man, where am I? Turn around, get it again. Kind of cautious, kind of timid. All right, I guess I don't need to jump any more jumps. Like the horse doesn't need to jump anymore. I'm gonna go to the gate. When I go to the gate, I'm sitting there going, I gotta get my head right. I'm like, okay, I gotta go jump one more. I gotta go jump. So I go and I pick up a canter and I just flip the switch and I gallop that jump. Okay, I'm back. And then I went in and we had a really good round on the last one. But I thought, if that happens to me, and I've been working at this for 40 years, it has to happen to you guys, right? I do this all day, every day. If something like that can flip my switch so easily, it has to happen to all of you guys. Whether you're a child, you hear something, someone says something. So pressure also comes from every little thing that you're hearing or seeing. What is the zone? So for me, I am always trying to get in a place of the zone where my focus is so dialed in that I'm not thinking, I'm feeling, okay? And maybe you're all not at a place where this is obtainable just yet. If you're a little kiddo in the lesson program, you might canter laughs and try to visualize being in this zone and trying to push your heels down. But for me, being in the zone is I'm like a machine, and I hear the hoofbeats, and I feel the wind, and I would almost come out of the ring and go, like, it was almost so mesmerizing, I don't remember it. And I've been there a handful of times, and my goal is to get there more and more, more often. But I'm always trying to get my focus just right to where I'm feeling and not thinking. And for me, that looks like drop my circle. I always like to pick up my canter as early as possible. The first thing I do I like this pace? I count my rhythm. I try to hear the hoof beats. And if I'm counting my rhythm, or I have done phases where I sing a song and I've shown singing a song, it puts me in, you're trying to get like a mesmerized state, okay? For me, that's the zone. How do we get there? Yeah, practice. I like to figure 8 2 jumps. I'll take 2 jumps, 2 cavalettis, and do it. And I could do those jumps for like 200 times, just trying to get it exactly right. Was my horse straight? Did I land good? Did I get out into the corner? Was my lead change correct? Am I looking up? Did I hold my body? Can I hit the distance every single time when I come around? Okay, I can do that. Can I gallop and do that? Can I collect and do that? So when you do repetitive exercises like that, if you were here for our Coast Care CCs, he set up a very intense pole exercise that created the zone and working in the zone. If you're just figure eighting and not really working necessarily, that exercise Coast did, you actually had to lengthen, collect, and get all this stuff down while kind of being super duper focused. Okay, how can we best prepare for success? So this is kind of the point of all of this. When I talked with Tanya Johnson, Darby Bonami, who are sports psychologists, and I did have a sports psychologist when I rode here with Patty. At one point, I was letting outside things. All I remember is about this talk with this professional was I must have been having a problem with a girl at the bar or something, because she was like, you need to take so-and-so's mom and put her in a bubble, and put her in that bubble, and you can't hear her, and flick her away, and that bubble is muted and you can't hear her. So instead of letting what's happening at the barn and this mom is saying stuff that you don't like and that's affecting you, put her in a bubble, put her over here, and flick her away so you can focus on what you did. That's what I remember from that professional. And we worked on visualization, and they recorded a tape of me visualizing, which we'll talk about through the course. But the biggest thing, like Tanya Johnson says, she asks everyone, how much do you guys all work on your mental preparedness? And everybody says, well, not at all. Like, how many days a week do you ride? Well, I ride every day. How many times a week are you practicing and preparing to ride? Most say not at all. So you want that number, instead of it being 90%, 10%, it would be good if it was more 60-40, right? And I don't know if that's what she said. But there's so much stuff you guys can do at home that has nothing to do with being here that you really should invest in, and it's not nearly as fun as coming and riding a horse. The visualization, I do this a lot. I haven't done it, well, I did it a lot when I was with riding the Lula horse. So when you visualize your course, and this is good for if you are a beginner rider and you go and you have to do a pole course and you don't know where the poles are, you sit down on a chair, and my mom has taken so many pictures of me all across the country doing this. But you sit and you close your eyes, and it's good to have your feet planted down. And I will even sit like this. And you do it from the moment that you walk into the arena. And you're trotting, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Pick up the canter, okay, put my right leg, and I would feel my right leg kind of clinch. And pick up the canter, okay, and I'm cantering, and I'm following 1, and I count to 2. Patty hates it, she likes 8. And there's a good point. I heard someone just say, if you count 1, 2, it creates a choppier canter. And I think that's probably very true, because as I'm saying 1, 2, 1, 2, it sounds choppy. So if you count to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's smoother. But I'm old and I have habits that are hard to break, so I count to 2. But you are literally picturing in real time the circle that you make. And actually, this is kind of hard. For some reason, I have a harder time turning left in my head. It's something that I can't get around that corner. I don't know why. So it is something to practice, but you canter up to the jump. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, jump, or 1, 2, 3, jump, or 1, 2, 5, jump. And you do the course that you are trying to do at the horse show. And you do it. Some people say they visualize and they chip in their visualization. I never chip in my visualization. I hit it right. And you want to hit it right, right? You want to do it exactly how you want to do it out in the arena. You count the exact number of strides when you walk the course. Okay, say we're walking a 130 course, and you see fence 1, and you go, okay, there's a green sign after fence 1. Got it. Got the sign. So when you visualize, where's my sign? There's my sign. I'm going to turn the corner, go past the crowd. I'm going to, do this here. And same thing. Where's my focal point? So when I would walk my courses, I would look at what I'm going to look at. And depending on where I was and how stressful it was, obviously walking multiple tracks, track A, track B, to have as many options as I can. If I had time to visualize all those options, I would. All the different options, all the different tracks. But your visualization should take about 3 minutes, because that's about how long you are in the arena for a course, okay? If you're not jumping yet or you're not horse showing yet, you can visualize your lesson, okay? For those of you who ride with Jamie, you know what your arena looks like. You can set up a course. If you're working on getting your heels down, you can walk in there, you can visualize getting yourself in 2 point, putting your heels down, and feel that. You can actually feel that happening when you're visualizing. You can visualize your courses. Most of you have 1 horse to ride. It is a huge advantage to ride multiple horses, okay? If you're competing against someone who has 3 or 4 horses, you're at a huge disadvantage because they have a huge leg up on you. Your brain and your body doesn't really know the difference between visualization versus actually being out here doing it. So it's tedious, but you can actually accomplish a lot by visualizing all this stuff. Real time, not making mistakes, as detailed as possible. Positive talk and mantras. So this is goofy, but I totally did it. So back to, my natural state where my brain goes is you are not good enough. You are never going to be good enough. That's where my brain takes me. So I've spent, not so much recently, but a lot of time, my childhood, my younger years, I have that tape going. So you've got to go at it the other way. You have to undo that with, I am successful, I'm doing a good job, I am capable, whatever you want to tell yourself, you need to keep saying it till you actually start believing it. When I geared up for Derby finals in Kentucky, which for the hunters, this is the Olympics of the hunter world. There's no bigger track in the hunters than the International Derby finals at Kentucky. Something I never thought I would ever do. And here I am, some little Northern California girl. Year 1, just gonna get my feet wet. Had a good time. No one's watching me. I wouldn't say that. I was very active on social media. A lot of people were watching. But I still had a little bit of a safety net of like, hey, it's just my first time, just getting my feet wet. But and I don't know if I got heavy. I don't think I got heavy into the mantras until year 2. I think after I went to Derby finals the first time, it started getting really real for me. The pressure. So I would make notes in my phone, whatever my mantra was, and I would go to bed every night and I would repeat that mantra. I am capable. I am ready. I am prepared. I trust myself. I trust Lula. We are capable. And I would just repeat, put myself to bed with it. And I would wake up and I would say it. And I would go driving and I would say it. And I would write it on my mirrors. So positive talk and mantras, I think, are super, super important. And you can put them anywhere, wherever you want. Try changing the tape in your head. Watching videos and highlights. So I have lots of videos, but I made kind of a highlight reel. Lula was actually the hardest horse I've ever ridden, and I don't know if that's because we had just so much time together, but the longer we were together, the more, the list of things I thought we did not do well got longer. So on this highlight reel, I would watch it and go, okay, we're capable. Okay, we can do an ox or two-stride. Okay, we can do these forward lines. So making a tape that reiterates you are capable. If you jumped really big in your lesson and you have that, go back and watch it. You've had 5 terrible lessons and you're not really remembering what you can do and what you're capable of. Go back and find a video and go, okay, I can do that. It's super, on another note, if you've had a really good lesson, go home and write that down. I had the best lesson today. I jumped X, Y, and Z. My trainer said X, Y, and Z. The more times you can remind yourself how capable you are, the better. Because it's very easy to make one mistake and think that you are identified as that one mistake. Okay? You might do 500 things correctly, and you make one mistake, and it's like that one mistake just takes you out completely. So the more times you can remember all the good things that you've done, the better. Journaling, video, any of those things. I'm big into audiobooks and regular books. This could be educational books. I gave you guys a list of some of the educational books. All of you who, your parents are spending a lot of money on your horses, or maybe you're spending a lot of money on your horses, or you're riding. You you should be educating yourself. You should not just be showing up for 1 hour of writing and then going home. I ideally would like all of you to be reading books about horsemanship, about horse care, about learning how to do a lead change, about lateral work. You should be expanding your knowledge, and you can do a lot of it here, but you can do so much more of it at home. So get the books. There's tons of them online. There's tons of them at Amazon, wherever you get your books. So try to not only work on, yep. Not only trying to get mentally prepared, which there's books for that, and I gave you guys a list, but also become a better horseman, become a better equestrian, learn about jumpers, learn about equitation, learn about hunters. There's a lot of good books out there. Music, super into music. So I had a playlist that I used, and I wasn't too dependent on, I had playlists, but when I went to New York, I think that was my second time back, I have a hard time sleeping before derbies. Even today, I have a hard time sleeping. Nervous energy, anxious energy. So I just recently found it. I was up at 3 a.m. and for some reason the Eminem song "Lose Yourself" kind of got into my head, and I'm like, I'm gonna Google and look up these lyrics, and I looked up the lyrics and I wrote them down, and so I had that song repeat in my ears in New York the day of competition, the day of the final round. I was like literally just mesmerized in this song, repeat, repeat, repeat. And I went into that arena believing all of those words that I was hearing, and it truly put me in a zone, put me where I needed to be, and that carried me through the day. I wrote fantastic, I finished fantastic. It was a really big deal at that time for someone who has no name, a no-name horse, a $500,000 class, a $500,000 class in New York. I got 8th place. Felt pretty good. 8th place was like a first place to me. So, and I really believe it was because of that song, because I was able to put myself, I have never been successful in a weak, fearful state. I am not my best. I don't think anybody is their best. If you are afraid and you feel afraid and you are telling yourself you are afraid, I think your chances of success are zero to none. You have to pump yourself up. You have to get into a place of I am confident, I am capable, I can do this. And that song, it just put me there. And I was that was one of those rounds where I was truly in the zone, and I remember the wind, and I came out and was like, I think that was really good. And my coach was like, that was awesome. I'm like, great, okay, good. But that song is what did it for that show. Now, can I use that song next time? No. For me, the power of those things are a little bit fleeting. I'm always, especially when I was in it with Lula, so then I'm looking for the next thing that's going to motivate me and drive me. I did a lot of journaling. I made a lot of lists. The journaling I did was I would do notes on what I needed to remember. Go in boldly, keep my eyes up, get my pace, step in the right stirrup, don't let her drift in, keep my hands up, things like that. Make lists of all the things that I'm working on. Stay off the verticals, push her through the 2 strides, step away from the vertical. All the little things that my coach had been telling me, I would write those down. Okay, what's the most important thing that I need to remember out here? And I would have those lists. And then I would have the lists of my mantras. So writing down, reiterating what you need to be working working on is a good thing. Okay, if you take a lesson and you find that your trainer is saying the same thing over and over and over, write those things down. Start getting them in your brain that that's what you need to be working on. Pre-ride routine. For me, a good night's sleep is important, and I have a hard time sleeping before a big class. When I was really competing, my life was derby. I really ate, slept, breathed, functioned. I was obsessed with what I ate, working out, because it was like for me it was the Olympics. I had like 8 years of going to the Olympics, so it was very intense, and I structured everything around that. You guys, you have to eat in the mornings, okay? You have to eat at night. You have to get a good night's sleep. You gotta be conscientious of what you're eating. Maybe don't eat a donut the day of the horse show. Figure out what's the right amount of food. Is it a granola bar because maybe eggs and bacon is too much? You gotta figure all that kind of stuff out. Always arrive early. I tell all of our students arrive at least an hour before your ride time, but there's a lot you can do by getting there early, checking on your arena, scoping out the arena. Are there shadows today? Where's the judge sitting? Are there any scary looking jumps? Watch some rounds. Is every horse just stopping at the same jump? Maybe they are. So getting there early and kind of letting yourself be there and absorb what's happening, watching other riders is always good. You should always be watching the other riders. Watch the bad ones, watch the good ones, and know who the good ones are, right? I would learn the course as soon as I could, and I preferred to walk and then visualize, but sometimes timing, depending on order of go, doesn't work for that. So visualizing is perfect, or important, no matter when you do it. You don't skip it. I never skipped it. And you might have to sit in a bathroom to find a quiet spot. You might have to go somewhere far away. You really don't want to do it when people are chatting around you, okay? And I had, I always made sure I was on in enough time, not late, on my horse in enough time, not late, because if you're late, that's flustering. Alter ego. So, when I was in this era with Lula, the back gate people, the guys, always called me Milo, because my last name's Milo. So, for me, Sami is a people pleaser and likes to do good and be kind and make sure everyone's okay. Milo doesn't give a shit about anybody else. She don't. And she's not there for you, like at all. And I didn't come up with this, but I listened to a book, and Kobe Bryant was the Black Mamba, and that's who he channeled, the Black Mamba. And he had a switch that he flipped. And I was like, I need that. Like Britney Spears had one too. I forget what it was. And we don't really want to look up to Britney anyway. But I would become Milo. And if I had to take care of clients in the morning, Sami ran around and she did all that stuff. And my husband, my children, my mom knew that when it became about an hour before the derby, to stay away, don't talk to me. It's not time to talk about chores or what you want me to do. I get into a very alone place. And I had people go, oh, I thought you were mad at me. I tried to talk to you yesterday. I'm like, I didn't see you. Like, she was like, well, it's right before you were going in the derby. I said, I didn't see you. I said, nope, it's good. I'm here, and I'm in my head, and I'm building myself up. And when I am my most successful, I am very I am there to take you out. And that is how I see you. I am there to take you out. Like, you are not getting in my way. You can do your best, and I'm going to go do better. And it didn't always work. I didn't always do better. And that was okay. But for me, at my most successful, it came from a very hard place. And the book that I love calls it The Dark Side. And I identify with that. Like, that to me, that makes sense. And sometimes in the book, it would talk about, people proving all those haters wrong. Like, all those people that said you couldn't do it and now you're doing it. And there's a piece of that in me of, like, trying to prove everybody wrong. For me, if someone I don't like is standing there watching me, at one point that would deter me or throw me off. But I got I got very good at, oh good, they're here. I'm gonna put on a show. I'm gonna go show them what they're missing. Watch me. And that kind of energy most times helped me and didn't hurt me. Were there times that I went in there and made mistakes? I'm sure there were. But for me, I never was successful from, they're there and I don't want them to watch and I don't want them to see and I'm afraid. And then, my work at home has to reiterate those things that I'm telling myself. So for a little while, I would go to these big international derbies and they kept having ox or two strides. And my horse jumped really high in the air and she'd always land in a pile and then she'd study it and then would be long out of the two. So ox or two stride. Oh, there it is again. Damn it. And so I did million. I mean, if you rode with me, there was an ox or two stride in every single course because I did it and did it and did it. So that when I told myself we got it, I did believe it because I've been doing it. So anything that I was nervous about, I tried to set it up. So I would encourage you guys, if you have things in your head that you're like, I don't like those. I hate a 1 stride. I hate a 6 stride. I also hate to count to 8 or 9. I don't like it at all. And I am better at it now. The horse I had kind of charged down there, which is, if you're a rider, you know that's kind of unsettling when a horse is speeding up for the oxen that you haven't seen a distance to yet. So I would do a lot of those so that, okay, I can do it, I'm capable. So if you have things that you don't like, for sure, tell your trainer so that you can practice them, so they can set it up, so you can do it and be like, I got it, I'm not worried about it. Because if you get to the show and it's there and you haven't done it in 6 months, probably not going to go well. So for me, the dark side was good. I had to learn to be in that because there was a lot of attention, there was a lot of eyes. So for me, feeling like I could do it and had to do it was a good thing. The book that I like is on there and it says not for kids because it's got swear words in it, but it's on that book list. So Relentless and Winning is my favorite not for kids. He talks about the dark side and different levels of mind toughness, and he talks a lot about Cody Bryant because he worked with him. So that is a very good book. If kids do listen to it, my kids have been listening to it since they were like 7, but it does have swear words in it, so if you don't like that, don't do that. Parents. I think it's hard to be a parent of a kid that competes. And I think it's hard for parents and children to communicate what they need. And I don't know what the right answer is for this. I know it was hard for me. My relationship was hard with my mom, and she was the best mom. Like, it wasn't anything she was doing, but it was hard to do my best and feel like when I didn't do my best, how do I deal with that? And I think having some kind of open communication with your kids or your parents about like what you need out of horse show is very important. I prefer parents stay away. So I have parents that like to be at the back gate. I do not like that. as an instructor, it's super distracting for me to have parents at the back gate. I prefer the kid get on, you tell your kid you love them and do great and whatever you want to tell them, and then let me take them to the warm-up ring, let me put them in the ring. I'm good at giving water. If your kid needs something special, tell me and I'll remember. I find it really hard to have parents at the back gate. I prefer they go away. If I was a child, and maybe if you're a kid and you like your mom there, maybe, I don't know why, maybe talk about that you need them there. And maybe that's a time that you do need them there, I don't know. But maybe having that conversation of like, hey mom, I would really like it if you stayed over there or came to me, maybe not right after I ride, maybe you wait 10 minutes. My mom, I think I would tell her like, wait, give me 10 minutes after I ride and then I would like to tell you all about it. But it was like, she would come at me too fast and I'm like, oh. So as a rider, thinking about, okay, how would I like my parents to support me? What could they say that I would be hearing and accepting of? And communicating what that is. Do all the steps. Do you want to talk a lot about the horse show on the drive to the horse show? Or do you want to listen to a book on yourself? To yourself and your own music? Do you want to talk about your ride after the day? Or do you not want to talk about it? Your parents should be privy to some information, right? But sometimes it's all too close to showtime and too close after showtime. For parents, I think it's really important to focus on the process and improvement instead of the ribbons. Focusing on, were you happy with your ride today? Okay, great. Do you feel like that was better than our last show? Okay, great. Maybe it wasn't better. Okay, well, what did your trainer say you need to be working on? Okay, well, did you do those things? Trying to focus on, are they doing all of those little things instead of the blue ribbons and the championships and all that stuff, which is really, it's hard not to get wrapped up in blue ribbons and championships. But focusing on performance, giving them space, allowing the trainer to do the trainer, allowing the trainer to do the training. But I think, I think there could be more conversations between parents and kids, like how to communicate and how to support. What else? Is there anything else I want to talk about? The focus and what I used to kind of drive me when I was competing was always changing. So I was always, the fuel I used wouldn't last long, so I had to find more fuel, okay? So if someone was watching, standing at the ring, that I really wanted to go show her how amazing I am, I would use that, but okay, now she's not standing there, so what am I going to use? I remember one time, my mom, right before I went into a class, she said, ride like the wind, Sammy. And that day, my head was thinking, I gotta be bold. I need to gallop fence one, and I need to, that's where my head was. So she said, you gotta ride like the wind. And that triggered me. Oh, I gotta ride like the wind, okay. And I heard it. And I was like, I'm gonna ride like the wind, and I did, and I won, and it was great. And I was like, hey mom, thanks for the great advice. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, you told me to ride like the wind, that was perfect. And she was like, Sammy, I have literally been saying that to you since you were 10 years old. She was like, every time you go in the ring, I say, I was like, really? She's like, yes. I'm like, I have never heard that. I've never. And then, the next derby, she came up and she put her hand on my thigh. She said, ride like the wind, mom. Or ride like the wind, Sammy. I said, no, that don't do it for me today. You gotta come up with something better. If we use that, you gotta get something new, something else. It has to be something that's truly inspiring you, right? Something that's really resonating with you to put you in that frame of mind. So all of that's gonna be different for all of you. Questions? Anybody have any questions? Anyone want to talk about any other stuff that they do? Danny's got a question.
So you talked about like going, watching, and seeing the jumps, what they look like if there's a horseman stopping them. What is your advice on like, let's see what the other horses are doing, but let's not focus on the scary jump and create the problem. Because I know that's.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard, right? It's a catch-22. Do you watch people and let it get in your head, or do you not watch people? It's a dilemma. So I think scary jumps, first of all, I think we're so lucky because we have so many scary jumps. I think you practice them at home, right? You practice them at home so that when you go to the show, you say, that's a scary jump, but I jump scary jumps all the time because they keep putting new stuff out there all the time, so I'm gonna ride like I did all those times out here. So you do have to, okay, I'm gonna be ready on that one, but I'm capable, right? I'm capable, because I do it all the time. I get over scary jumps all the time. So I think you just have to keep your head in that mindset of, yes, it's scary. I need to wrap my leg around. I need to suction. What does Sami or Patty always say to do at a scary jump? And I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to keep my eyes up and get to the other side. Does that make sense? But I do think knowledge is good, right? It's good to know. Like sometimes there would be a scary jump, and then my horse would be scared at it, and 5 people would go, yeah, I saw 5 horses. I'm like, how come you guys didn't tell me that? Like, how come no one told me that that was a scary jump? So I do think you want to know those things, and then you have to practice successfully getting through it.
How do you handle visualizing, like in the derby, you have your first round and then your second round?
You do both.
You do both.
And depending on how many are in it, you do one and then the next one. Really best to focus on the first one, right? If you have time, definitely go back and do it. But if you don't, do them back to back. Yeah, definitely. And visualize the different options that you would take in your handy. Anyone else? Yep.
Do you ever like visualize multiple times to get your head right when it's like say after a first time you visualize it isn't like quite registering?
I say at least 3 times. At least 3 times. And you guys can visualize your course. If you took a lesson today and you didn't do it as well as you did, go home. It literally takes 5 minutes, okay? It's not long. As a mom, I would love it if my kids did this, okay? Students did this. Trainer. Putting in more attention to fixing stuff that happens out here at home. So you can do that same course that we did over and over again. It takes 5, 10, 15 minutes and fix it. Fix your mistakes. Or maybe you did it brilliantly, but your trainer was like, I would really love for you to be in 2-point the whole time when you're doing that. Okay, I'm going to do it again in 2-point. I'm going to do it again in 2-point. I'm going to go home and do that whole course, and I'm going to hold my 2-point all the way around. It's simple stuff. It doesn't take long. It does take desire, determination. It's tedious. But I do believe it can really, really help. Most people don't have the luxury of riding several horses. So you got to get in your riding some other way. And the next best way to do it is in your brain, in your mind. Any other questions? Oh,
So, coming from a supportive parent role,
yeah.
I know it's hard when parents are there and they're like, do your best and all this other stuff, and bringing a lot to light, realize that we're going kind of the wrong way in doing things. And I don't know if there's any way of, you mentioned it before with music and everything like that, but when you're so stuck in your own head, you just can't get out. Is there a really good reset that you've discovered to sort of just like press a button, like get rid of that? Because sometimes, and us parents can get stuck in our head too, like
You need like one good ride.
Yeah.
You need one good ride.
Okay.
I've had like watching a video after a good video.
Oh, yeah.
After a bad round.
Yeah.
That helps me. Cause it reminded me what I'm capable of and not to try not to focus on the mistake.
You know, I mean, the reset is hard. It's such a hard thing. I think, you know, you've got to keep trying, you've got to keep working. You got to keep putting your best foot forward. And the cards kind of lay where they lie. And it's a hard balance of motivating them, motivating your kids and gearing them up, and then not going over expecting them to where they are then hard on themselves. So I think, you know, keep reiterating that we are going to go try our very best. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And if it doesn't work, if we mess up, it's okay. We're still, so this is, this is good. I am a little bit voodoo-y, come to find out. So I had a horse communicator. This is a psychic telepathic person that talks to your horse via telephone. So Joanna would talk to Lula, and then I could talk to Lula. This was helpful because it made me feel better. I'm going to get back to that, but we're going to get there. So, for instance, I was really worried about sending Lula to Kentucky. It was really stressing me out. She thinks I'm going to sell her, that she's not going to understand. So I told Joanna, tell Lula we're going to a horse show and I'm going to meet her there. And just having me thinking that my horse knew that made me feel better. And actually, this lady's really good if you want her number. She said some stuff that nobody would ever know. So she really had me on board. But sometimes having a conversation like that, takes certain expectations off. Calling Joanna and saying, hey, we really need this horse to jump all the jumps. Can you tell the horse to jump all the jumps? Can you communicate, maybe just for a second, you believe that that's going to be taken care of, and so you ride better, maybe. Or maybe she does tell her to jump the jumps, and she jumps the jumps. But sometimes going a little bit of a side door so that the rider thinks that something's being taken care of, whether it really is or not. But again, she knew some things that no one ever knew, so I do believe in this woman. I also did Reiki, which is like an energy thing, where they lay down and they have the little thing, little thing, the little metal rock thing that says your energy. And I did this before Kentucky. I went 3 times. This is how bad I want blue ribbons. I pay people to put crystals over me, and I go, okay, I'm gonna win. And she was like, okay, well, what's your biggest fear? Well, I could fail miserably. Well, what do you mean? Well, I could chip the first fence. I could fall off. I could have a stride. I could, there's so many ways to fail. There's so many. So she was like, okay, well, write them down and visualize, and you're not supposed to visualize bad things happening, but in this instance you do. You visualize going into the arena, chipping fence 1 harshly so that everybody gasps in horror, and then you write the rest of it around brilliantly or whatever. And so chips fence 1, and I put that on a piece of paper and put it over here. Okay, I could fall off. Okay, I visualize myself. Well, then the other piece of it, I would walk out of the arena, and my coach would be like, well, there it is. And my mom would be there, and she'd go, I love you, Sammy. And I'd talk to my husband, and he'd say, it's okay, sweetie. And Judy would say, I love you, Mom, I'm proud of you. So what's the worst thing that could happen? Did I lose my home? No. Did I catch on fire? No. Did anybody disown me? No. Did my trainer kick me out of the barn? No. So why are we so afraid to make these? They're just mistakes, right? So understanding that when you do make a really big mistake, it really is just a mistake. It didn't change your world. It didn't change anything about you're still going to school the next day. You're still going to have to do your homework. So understanding that those mistakes aren't really life altering, right? They're a disappointment for sure. But I think understanding that we're all going to Vegas soon. You could go to Vegas and completely bomb every single round. And you're gonna see my face going, well, we're gonna try again. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z. But then we're gonna go to dinner, and we're probably gonna go to a show, and we're gonna go watch everybody else ride, and we're still gonna have a good time. So we're not gonna like kick you out of the hotel. We're not gonna put you on an airplane and send you home. You know, we're all gonna still go through all the things. Everything's gonna be okay. I think is a good piece. And so I took all those pieces and I burned them. It was like, you know, oh. So I burned the pieces. And I didn't do any of those things. It was a good, you know. But for me, even like weird little symbolizes stuff like that, I think can be good. And just, you have to keep working. When you're on a down slope, you're just waiting for that one next good ride to kind of pick yourself back up. And I think if you have watching old video of like, hey, I did this and I did this really well, I can't do this. Because you put in too many not good rounds and you believe that you are not good or that you should not be doing it or that you can't do it. So you got to go back and remember, oh yeah, I can do it. I did it just 2 months ago, or 6 months ago, or a week ago. Anything else? Any other questions?
You ever get stuck on finding the fuel?
Yeah. Finding fuel can be hard. I mean, I deeply care to win. I really like winning. And that in itself is, you know, fuel. But it can go down the wrong road. But you know, I get fuel from all different kinds of places. You got to be looking for the fuel. You got to be looking for. Does everybody understand what the fuel is? Something that motivates you to put you in a headspace. Just this last derby, I was at the Halloween show, and I was walking up to ride my horse, and I walked by these two ladies were standing there. I didn't know who they were, and I walked by, and they said, "Oh," one of them said, "That's Sami, we should watch her." And I was like, you know, immediately that could have made me go, I don't know that they're gonna watch me, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna give those ladies a good show. They better watch me, which is not my normal state of mind. But that's who I have to be for me to go do what I need to do. I have to think I'm brilliant. If I don't think I'm brilliant, who's going to think I'm brilliant? Why would the judges think I'm brilliant if I don't think it? So you do have to fake it till you make it. And however you put the failures right in your head, you have to still be able to survive after those failures. Failures are feedback. They truly are. Every time you fail, it is a lesson. Whether you failed picking up the canter, and you go, I need to be more aggressive, I need more leg, or you failed by chipping fence one, and you go, I gotta get my eyes up, I gotta go forward. Every time you make a mistake, immediately you should be, I need to do X, Y, Z to fix that. So failure truly is feedback. When you put 10 of them in a row, it's pretty depleting, right? You feel like garbage. I have 100% wanted to quit riding, wanted to give up, been bawling my eyes out, crying, I'm never doing this again, I'm not good enough for my horse, I'm not doing her justice, I should sell her, someone else would do this better than me. For sure, I have been in the deepest, darkest of, I'm never doing this again, I'm never, ever, ever, I'm done. That was horrible, that was like so embarrassing, so humiliating that I just did that. And then you pick yourself up and you go back in there and you little by little fix your mistakes. fuel comes from anywhere, but it can be, for me, it's always come from a place of this alter ego that is really not my personality, but it works for me. Yep.
Hi, Samuel. First of all, thank you so much. This
Yeah.
is just so helpful.
Okay.
As parents are freshly in this, course world, we're just still learning. What would be your advice, like during the lesson? Because I'm naturally a helicopter mom, okay, and I feel like if I'm next to her, she's not gonna fall off the horse, and nothing's gonna happen. But would you say it's better to just kind of step away and give her that space with the trainer? As a trainer, would you prefer parents not to be nearby, or like?
I don't think you're a helicopter mom. I don't know, you're sitting up here, that's pretty good.
Okay.
You're not down in the arena, so that's good.
I'm
But-
holding my horses, okay? Not
I don't know. Sarah's so little. I think you might need to give her a little bit of guidance. She's pretty young.
Okay.
So I think you're probably not wrong to give her extra support at her age.
Okay.
And then and I think also checking in with your instructor, right? Checking in with Jamie and being like, some kids are actually so much worse when their parents are around. And
Okay.
some kids feel a lot more pressure when their parents are there and watching. So I think it's always good to check in with the instructors, because we have had kids that are terrible, and Jamie particularly has been like, can you please just drop them off and not be here because they are so much worse? I don't think Sarah's one of those. But I think checking in with the instructor to see, is it helpful that I do this? Is it not helpful that I do this? Am I saying what you want me to be saying? Is there things that we can be working on at home to help her understand these things? Even like for Sarah, she can be drawing little courses at home, right? She can be counting strides on paperwork. She can be learning. You guys are so lucky to have YouTube. You can do so much Googling. Oh my gosh. If you, Miss Daniela, you should be Googling how to learn my diagonal, because there's probably 10 ways of learning that we haven't thought of. If you are struggling with something, Google it. What exercises to get my heels down? Anything like that. There are exercises, right? Everybody knows you put your foot on the stairs. For those of you that maybe like to work out, what exercises can I do at home to make me stronger? So I think too, Googling a lot of it and trying to get her, maybe books or audio books that are horse-like or that are teaching that she could comprehend.
We have plenty of those. She
You
wants to
do?
go see a surgery now. How a surgery is being done.
Oh, really? That's good. That's
She
really
wants to
good.
know everything about them.
No, I think that's great. We want you, as trainers, we want you to want to know everything about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Care, feeding, nutrition, all of it. Not just the writing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, you were saying how you had your first horse was like $4,000 and you went to underdog nursing. How did you break out into equestrian and just getting become a professional at this point?
This is like the only industry where you say, I am a professional, and they say, good for you, you don't need anything. You need years and years of, you need an internship with your trainer, you need to volunteer, always be willing to hack horses. Kids that are hungry, trainers notice. Kids that are hungry to learn and sacrifice their time, trainers notice. So being available to do anything and everything that your trainer, or if your trainer doesn't need anything, but maybe you have the summer off, you go check with other trainers around the area to see what they need. People notice hardworking people because it's kind of getting farther and fewer between. So I worked for Patty when I was here. I went and lived with Julie Winkle up in Reno, and I spent summers with her. I lived at her house, and I was like slave labor. I just did whatever she wanted, and then I got a job working for another trainer as an assistant, and then you kind of just branch out. And my mom always pushed me lots of clinics. This is a little bit off of the topic, but networking is super important in this industry. Clinics are important because the more people you know, the better. So taking lots of clinics, getting to know people, getting to know what they're teaching you is really important. Sending a thank you note to that person that just taught the clinic, super important. I don't know if you guys know the Michael Nyhouse Foundation, but they have a grant, I think it's 14 to 21? Yeah, 24? So that grant puts equestrians in touch with a lot of professionals. Anytime you meet a professional and they do something nice, you should send them a thank you card, because those thank you cards are very few and far between. And those little things make that big professional remember you someday. Oh yeah, that was that girl that did X, Y, and Z, and then she sent me this really nice card. So anytime you meet people doing things, being helpful, hey, do you need someone to set jumps for you? Could I come to the horse show and set jumps for you? Or do you need any help at grooming? Being really willing and able to do anything, I think, is important. And the more people you meet, the better. You know, the more you branch out. Did I answer your question? Everyone's always watching at a horse show. Even here, everyone's watching. Even at your barn. Your trainer's watching, the other parents are watching. When you're at a horse show, you maybe think that people aren't noticing, but if you're having a bad attitude, if I see you, I've taken notice. And I'm like, oh, that girl is doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know who you are, but I noticed that you just yanked on your horse or yelled at some kid or did something. So anytime you are in a group of people, everyone's noticing and it's all feedback. And one person sees you do something not nice, not good, they're going to remember. And that also completely works the other way. I've seen some kid, I was at Sonoma and I saw that girl, I don't know if it was you or Mason, but this mom was trying to put spurs on this kid. And the kid was like 16. And the kid was like so nice to her. No, mom, like this, and like, no, it's not like that, it's like this. Like, was being so nice to her. Whereas, like, I don't know, most times it's like, you're doing it wrong, like, you're doing it, that's not how they go. And this kid was like so nice and calm, and I was like, wow, you are like the nicest kid. And I was like just so impressed with how, so I totally noticed those things, and I remember, and so does everybody else. So always, when you're at a horse show, being on your best behavior, and it's good to just be a good person anyways, right? Be helpful. If you see someone up at the course confused as to what they're doing or where they don't know what course, you could say, oh yeah, well, what class are you in, right? Being of service goes a really long way, and you don't know who's watching, you don't know who those people are, but doing good, being good is always good, okay? You guys good? All right. Do I have anything to, let's go through the books real quick. Quickly. Balmore, With Purpose for the Balmore. This is a great educational book. Judging WTF. Good stuff in there about judging and what they're looking for. Judging Hunters and Eck. I haven't read that one yet. It's newer. Mental books. Michelle Waters loves Mind Gym, right? Is that the one, right, Michelle? That's your favorite. That's what I thought. This top one, Winning Habits, How Elite Equestrians, I haven't read that one. I just looked, I Googled something and that one came up. It looked interesting. How Champions Think, The Champion's Mind, those were okay. For me, those are too soft of an approach. Like Mind Gym is a little soft for me, but Michelle loved it. Mine were too hard for Michelle. So you have to kind of dive into what works for you. What works for me is not necessarily what's going to work for you. And pulling, this is your fuel, right? Like Donovan was talking about. Listening to new books, that's where you're getting your fuel from. You're getting your motivation. You're getting inspired. I love autobiographies. This Lindsey Vaughn, she's that downhill slope skier. It's so interesting to hear how she grew up and how she did in her races and then blew her knee out and then came back. I mean, all of those things are super inspiring. The Allie Raisin, she's the gymnast. So, you know, looking up professional athletes, they don't have to be equestrians, and learn about how they got to where they are is super interesting. And if you can pull a little piece from that, that's your fuel, that's what you're using, okay? And I think your goal is to go and be brilliant. And if you're not, you have to be gentle on yourself. Right? You gotta be able, you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. And then you gotta go try again. And you gotta just keep trying. Until you put a little bit of success together, and then you keep building on those little successes. Success usually goes up and then down quite a bit, and then up and then down quite a bit. I won a lot of hunter derbies, but I've never counted how many I win and how many I lost. I don't know what that number is. It's a big one though. So you gotta lose a lot to win a lot. There's a lot more losing than winning. And that's what's so interesting and what makes us and me so hungry. It's very rare for someone to stay on top all the time. Very rare to have the same person, whether it's you don't see the same Grand Prix rider winning. You know, it's very rare. That's why we're all trying to reach this greatness. They make mistakes. I've seen so many Grand Prix riders chip. I've seen so many elite hunter riders go in there and chip. They make mistakes. They make mistakes just like we do. They don't make as many, but they make them. We think we're the only ones that make them, but if you sit in an arena all day at a horse show, you're gonna see a lot of mistakes. So that is feedback to you of like, man, I'm doing okay. They're making mistakes. You just gotta keep trying, keep working. And you gotta keep figuring out what works for you. And it does take some conscientious thinking about it, right? And getting your head right.
Sami,
Yeah.
that's what I think, I know it's been a long time since I showed, but talking about figuring out what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, and I know for me, it was like you said, like being there early, knowing the course, watching, and then planning myself by myself and visualizing it. And then the other thing for me, I don't know if you remember this, I like never got on early. I always got on like when I was 6 or 7 out. Because if I got on too early,
Yeah.
then I'd get the butterflies and
Yep.
I'd get nervous. And if I just got on, jumped a couple and went in,
Right.
that was what worked for me.
Right, and you have to, everyone's gotta figure out what
Yeah.
their formula is, right? What your pre-game routine is.
For sure.
And Michelle has a little focus thing. Like, Michelle, when she finds her bubble, is brilliant, but easily pulled out of it, right? Your focus is everything. Which is always so interesting, right? And literally, I can see when Michelle has flipped her switch. Like, she picks up the canter, and it's like, I don't even need to watch, because I can see by the way she's cantering, she's flipped the switch. It's gonna be great. So it's a constant battle of finding that space.
And it's interesting, I was thinking back, I think it was like, I won the 5 that day or something. And I still remember like, just using focal points.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, stuff has to be so simple for me. And I remember you had me go in there and you said, pick your focal points and go. And like, I had a great round.
Yeah.
And it just was.
I like focal points.
Because I was focused and that's like, I knew where I was going and I looked at that and then I did that and then it was like.
It feels like it's yours.
Yeah.
It feels like you've been there. It feels like you put that tree there.
Yeah.
You turn the corner, there's my tree.
Yeah.
I gotta go get my tree, go to my tree.
Yeah.
It feels familiar.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good info. All right, we did it. First workshop.
Yay.
Yeah.